Hello there, everyone. I hope that you're not doing anything too crazy on a Friday night. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of this live stream. My name is Rebecca Valera. I am a former teacher turned realtor living here in the beautiful city of McKinney, Texas, which is in North Dallas. And today I have a special guest with me.
Hi.
I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself, Jeremy.
Yeah, so my name is Jeremy Knight. I am a YouTubing real estate agent in Austin, Texas. We're a husband-wife team, Platinum Top 50 in the Austin area. We do a fair amount of business in the area, and we just like to have fun. If you ever see my YouTube channel, I just like to have fun. And so that's experience we try to give to our clients, give them great information. And thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. I'm a big admirer of your channel and just how you give information to people. So it's great to have you on the show, I guess. Is that some people call it a show?
This is a show. Yeah. You know, we could have an Austin versus Texas battle. I mean, however you want to do this. I brought the big guns, so we're ready to roll on this side.
Yeah. I can see you got some stuff lined up to share with people. So, and I've got some cool things to share too. So I'm pretty excited about it. So I guess we could start. We can start a little bit with just maybe talking a little bit about why, someone, they're probably on the fence. They're saying, well, maybe Austin, well, maybe Dallas. They probably have job opportunities in both places, I'm guessing, and they don't know what to do. They don't know what information maybe they need. And I guess maybe the best place to start would be, housing is probably a big thing. We can hit on that one first, I think, because it's usually the big determining factor if someone's going to move from one place to the other, how much they negotiate for their job, essentially, too, if they want to live in a certain area, a part of the U.S., even in the world. So do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Sure.
We can talk a little bit about housing.
Sure. So this is a question that I get a lot. I have a lot of people that reach out to me that are thinking of either moving to Dallas, Houston, Austin, and so they don't know where to go. And so that's why people like you and I have these channels to help people figure that out. If you're going to become pairing the Austin housing market to let's talk about why people would choose to come here. Number one, property taxes are going to be lower. No income tax, but property taxes are a little bit higher. So that's, for most corporations that are coming out here, and, Dallas and Austin both are seeing a plethora of companies move out here. We just got Tesla on its way to Austin, bringing their Gigafactory. So there's a lot of tech that's coming out to our areas. And so if you're, a lot of people that contact me are typically doing I can work remote now. So I want to find somewhere for my family, or I want to find somewhere that's a little more affordable, not seeing all of the crazy lockdowns in their states that they're in. So they want to move here and have a little more freedom, which is awesome. But the housing prices, if you're going to compare Austin and Dallas, both places have areas where we have very expensive homes, and then we have areas that are a little more affordable. I think if you look at Dallas as a whole, Dallas is much larger than Austin is. Dallas would probably be a little bit more affordable because there's probably just more to pick from. Austin, our prices have skyrocketed, and I met with an economist in January. In fact, I'm doing a video on this currently. I met with economists in November of last year, and we were talking about what does 2020 look like. And the economist said, barring any major catastrophes, 2020 is going to be an awesome for real estate. Well, we saw that happen in around March time. Everything started shutting down. But the reality is that all of our markets in Texas, because people kind of said, you know what, I'm ready to leave. I don't want to be locked down anymore. I'm going to leave. our markets have seen just a crazy increase in prices because of the amount of people moving here. Interest rates are low, all those great reasons. So, Austin's a little bit smaller, so our prices are considerably higher. I think, our median price is almost 450,000, where Dallas is probably less.
Yeah, we're close to we're still in the mid twos, mid to high twos is probably a pretty good median for Dallas. But when you talk about Dallas, like you said, it's so huge that whenever, there's Dallas, which is what, how many million of people do we have? We have millions of people in Dallas. And then we have North Dallas that is growing and expanding north, where you have a lot of the popular suburbs like Plano, Frisco, McKinney. All of those cities are growing as well. And, the thing about Dallas too is because we have that north section and then we have Dallas as a whole, we have headquarters and headquarters area in Plano, and then we have a big headquarters area in downtown. So we're not stuck headquarters wise in a certain part of the city. And then obviously we have Fort Worth, which is another huge metro area that's to our west. So people, when they think of DFW, as a whole, or even Dallas, there's a lot more, like you said, places to choose from, where to go, where to live. Are you going to be close to downtown? Are you going to be close to the Plano area where all that new headquarters, those new headquarters are going to be? So I think that does, like you said, make it just a little bit more affordable with the housing cost. And because they have that commercial and that headquarter development space there in North Plano, affordability is actually less expensive when you go outside of Dallas. The property taxes are a lot cheaper north of Dallas versus in the actual city too. So it's growing, and it's an affordable place to live. So I think that's why a lot of people like to relocate and move to Dallas or choose Dallas.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think, there's more flexibility in price ranges. There's more flexibility in things to do. If you're comparing them just apples to apples, Austin is the capital. It is the heart of Texas. So there's a lot of charm in Austin that you don't have in Dallas. And I think that's where, if you were to drive through both in one day, one feels like LA, one feels like this kind of little gem of a city. And that's how I looked at it. A little gem of a city,
Well, are you comparing us to Dallas to LA? That's not even close.
It is. I lived in California. I'm from California. Trust me. I drive through Dallas and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in LA all over again. Get me out of here.
Whatever.
Yeah. The moment I get there, I'm like, ugh.
I'll have to ask you what part, because it's big, remember?
It is. Well, I lived in San Diego. I lived all over. So I've been to Frisco. Like Jan has a good question on there. I've been to Frisco several times, and I like that area. What you're talking about, Frisco, Plano, really great areas. If I was going to move to Dallas, I'd probably look in that area, but that's the only place I've been. But her question was there as far as accessibility, comparing Leander. I think if you're looking at Frisco, they have kind of that billionaire row, I guess is what they call it, right? Where they put in the new the practice stadium and everything, kind of in that Frisco area.
Mm-hmm. It's called the Star, and the headquarters of the Dallas Cowboys is there. They have office buildings, and then lots of restaurants and places to eat that are new and hip and trendy. I know Cow Tipping Creamery has some awesome little ice cream. It's awesome little ice cream place that's down over there in the Star. You have what?
We have Cow Tipping Creamery.
Yeah. I know there's one in Austin too. So I'm just saying there's a lot. There's a lot of parallels to that area, I think, to Austin. And I think North Dallas is probably has a very strong Austin vibe to it, compared to downtown in the heart of, deep in the heart of Texas, right?
Yeah. Well, if you're comparing Leander to Frisco, I think in her question was accessibility. Leander's got pretty good accessibility to Austin in general. If I had to compare the two, I would say probably Frisco has more shopping and more things to actually do close by. Leander does have quite a bit, but if you're wanting, I'd say it's a little more dense though. If you're in Frisco, comparing it to Leander,
Yeah.
Leander's a little more of a hill country vibe to it
Okay.
than Frisco does, but accessibility, it's super, super accessible.
Yeah. And I think with when you think when you look at North Dallas as a whole, and you have Frisco, and then you have Plano, and then you have McKinney, those a lot of those, and even parts of Allen too. There's lots of shopping you can get, very easily from one, like 10, 15, 20 minutes. You're in another shopping area, and the one in Allen is like ridiculous. I mean, they've got everything. They opened a new shop, like it's more of like a luxury shopping experience over in Plano off of Legacy. So the shops at Legacy that are over there are really, really nice. I don't know if posh is the right word to describe it or not, but it's very, very exclusive, very trendy is probably not even going to do it justice, but it's a very affluent. There you go. That's the right word. Very affluent part of town, and a lot of people go shopping there that like that kind of stuff.
So Sazank is a regular on my channel. He's saying he's deciding between Leander and McKinney. What are your thoughts, house prices and school wise? So I'll let you talk about McKinney because you definitely know McKinney better than I do as far as prices go. But if you're looking at Leander, I'd say the average price in Leander is going to be closer to the 325-ish price point. Probably going to be, depending on how big you go, probably 350. You could definitely get something under 400. And that's probably like a 2,500 square foot, 4-bed, 2-story.
You get a lot of house for that.
Yeah, money. You get a decent amount of house for the money. As far as schools go, depending on what part of Leander you're in, if you're definitely go to greatschools.org and fact check me on any school information. But the schools in Leander, depending on what part you're in, they are rated pretty well. I would have to look at great schools to compare them to McKinney, or let you answer that one.
Yeah, so I actually use niche.com. That's like my primary go-to. Great Schools is okay, but I think that some of their information, there was a high school, I don't know, there's a high school somewhere, and they have like a 9th grade campus, and then they have a 10th through 12th grade campus. They have it split up wonky. And as a result of that, the rating was kind of off and skewed. And like a lot of the parents were like, this is a good school. Why are you rating it so low? I think it was like they rated it down to like a 6 or a 7 out of 10, where it was probably closer to an 8 or 9. But
I've seen that too. I had clients that were looking at a school in a affluent area, and the school was rated, I think, a 7. Yeah. And so we looked at the ratings on Great Schools, and like every extracurricular or curriculum was like 9,999, and then diversity was a 2, and that's why it was a 7.
Right.
So it was like,
and some people look for diversity. I mean, I had someone call me the other day and said, how diverse is the area? And I said, you can look at that data up on niche.com, and there are other websites that you can look up the diversity in certain areas if you're concerned, and if you want diversity in your school. Because I think as a teacher, I actually enjoyed teaching in a more diverse setting versus this is the only kind of race that we're going to see in the school and blah, blah, blah. I enjoyed it, but everybody's going to have their own unique taste and what they prefer when it comes to a school system. And usually what I say to people when they're looking for a school, they need to call the school, they need to go in, they need to visit, they need to talk to the principal, they need to get a feel for the school and see if it feels right. If it feels right, then you know that you're making the right decision. And then also getting the kids to be a part of it as well, have them go in with you, even during the off time, like during the summer. The principals can and will meet with you if they've got the time, which they usually have some hours during the summer that they can talk to you. But as far as schools go in McKinney has a rating. Hey, is it Christina? Was she saying hi? Are you
Christina and Eddie?
Oh, and Eddie. Hey, Eddie.
I have a man crush on Eddie.
But going back to the schools in McKinney on niche.com, I know are rated, they're an A rating, which is good. And I was nervous about it. The schools are a little bit larger. And when I mean larger, I mean like instead of having 3 kindergarten classes, you have like 5 kindergarten classes. So the class sizes remain the same, but the size of the school is just a little bit bigger than when we were living on the other side of town in the North Louisville, Highland Village area. So
if you do me a favor and add my screen in, I'll pull up, I've got niche pulled up right here so that we can compare the two.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at Leander is an A+, academics wise, diversity A-, but still really, really good. If you look at the full food is the one thing bringing it down. Okay. So then if we look at, what is it, McKinney?
Oh yeah, I was going to do that, but yeah, you can go ahead and go for it.
McKinney's an A. Boom. Just answered your question. Sanzang. Thank you, sir. There you go. No, but let's look at their yeah. So I mean, I would say both are definitely solid school districts. Yeah. What do you think price wise for McKinney versus Leander?
So starting price, you can get a starter home, 1,500, 1,600 square feet, right around $250. And the house that I purchased in McKinney, which is in South McKinney, about a year ago was $315. And when I ran the comps recently, it was about $340. So there has been a big jump in pricing, which is why a lot of people are refinancing, which is why I refinanced. But the was going to say, you can get something for 300. I would say 300 is probably the median price, like the most common price you're going to see. And you can get at least 2,000 plus square feet for that in McKinney. So it is more affordable. And the tax rate, I think, is hovering right around like 2.2% for the area, which is great compared to Dallas. Dallas is like 2.7 or something like that, I think. Don't quote me on that. I wrote it down over here, but I'm just like, Dallas. If you live in Dallas or Dallas County, those taxes are just a lot higher than the rest of the area.
This is something I was editing a video talking about property taxes in Texas as a whole. Yeah. In Austin, the property tax around Austin is generally about 2.14 to 2.2 is kind of the average. But like pulling up, I have Leander pulled up here on my screen, kind of just shooting around, looking at some of the homes they have on the market. I mean, 2.53%. Let's see this one, 2.96. So the property tax prices are a little bit higher, but the values are lower than if you're in Austin proper. So you kind of washes, you kind of end up spending the same no matter where you go.
Do you find that Leander has a lot of HOAs and a lot of new construction in that area, like more so than as a result, or?
Yeah, there's most of the communities in Leander are going to be newer. They really didn't start building out Leander until really about 10 years ago. Okay. So we're seeing a huge boom in there. So everything's pretty much HOA'd.
HOA'd, yeah. For McKinney, there are some older homes. They started building, there's like historic homes that are closer to downtown. And there are a sprinkle of homes that were built in like the 70s and 80s over close to that area. But once you start, I guess, more South McKinney, most of that was constructed in the like 1990s, 90s essentially. And then, as you go further north, you start to see more of the growth. And there are areas without HOAs in McKinney as well. So if you didn't want to be in an area with an HOA, there is opportunity for that. And then the further you go north, there are some, several great master plan communities and even some unique ones like Adriatica Village, which was this Croatian village that was designed after this town in Croatia. There was a developer that got inspired and decided to bring some of Croatia to Texas. And we have a little village. You can actually buy a villa. You can buy a condo. Now, they are really, really expensive over there, but it's a unique, cool place, even just to go visit or to shop. But
Cool.
I hope that answered your question. Is it Sasank? Is that how you say it?
I think so.
Okay.
They've never corrected me, so.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead. You go.
so let's talk about why Austin is way cooler than Dallas.
Okay.
No, I think, most people, when you're looking at, comparing Dallas and Austin, I think the one, if you want to compare pros and cons, I would say definitely the cons for Austin is that if you're into sports and want to go to a lot of sporting events, we don't have professional sports. And I mean, like MLB, NBA, NFL, we do have a minor league hockey team. We do have a minor league baseball team. We do have,
Are you talking about the one in Round Rock, the minor league one that's in Round Rock? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's fun to go to.
Yeah.
We have UT, which is pretty much professional,
college
football. Yeah, right. Professional football, kind of, even though they're not the greatest right now. But we do have a Major League Soccer team coming soon. So I think that's the one negative or downside to Austin is that if you want to go to a lot of those live events, you're going to have to go to Dallas. You're going to have to go to
San Antonio has, you could drive up to San Antonio.
I almost said the H word, but we're not going to talk about that. I would say the pros for Austin is we probably get a little less dramatic weather. I would say slightly than Dallas, but I mean, that's like a slight. Both have pretty dramatic weather in general. But we do have more of that hill country flair, where in my opinion, you could correct me if I'm wrong, Dallas is a little bit more flat. It's in the plains. So, and we have more hill country. So there's some really cool, like outdoor breweries and wineries and things that you can go to that are really just like, if you want to experience Texas, this is Texas. But let's be honest, the people in Austin and the people in Dallas are probably a lot nicer than where you're moving from.
Yeah, I would say so. Texas as a whole has this whole, we're the friendship state. So, I mean, it's kind of, I think most Texans are huggers and they just like you, in most of your videos, you say, we just want to have a beer and hang out. I mean, that's the mentality of most Texans.
Anyway, unless you go to Spar, Texas, like Christina put up there.
Spar or Spur? It's called Spur.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Spar.
Jeremy can't read today. Spur, Texas, which is like way up north. It's pretty much like Oklahoma. So
Oklahoma.
We're not really counting Spur.
I thought Spur was a little bit further south. I know it's south of Dallas when I looked at it a long time ago on the map.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, it's somewhere over that direction. Somewhere I don't drive.
Somewhere you don't drive. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Let's see what other questions we have. We covered that one. Christina was asking about farmers markets. She said, you got those?
We got those. We got a couple really cool ones in the Austin area. I mean, look, Austin's funky, fresh, weird, right? And so we have some really cool, good down home, awesome farmers markets. In fact, that was one of my favorite things to do when my son was like 3. There's a really cool farmers market that have live music. So we get out, just peruse, get lunch, walk through, say hi to people. He'd dance to the music, and it was fantastic. So the one thing that I think's really cool too is that, I know you guys have barbecue up there, but Austin's barbecue is way better. I mean, let's be honest.
Oh, no.
We have some really cool like outdoor barbecue places where you go, like the Salt Lake. Like everybody thinks of the Salt Lake. I don't think the food in the Salt Lake is that great, but Austin, and here's where I will give a big tip of the cap to Dallas is that Austin is all about the ambiance.
Yeah.
Everybody says, oh, the food is so great in Austin. The food is so great in Austin. No, it's not. It's not that great, but our barbecue is fantastic. So I have to say that we have some really great places like the Salt Lake to go out and just really have some like good outdoor fun and entertainment. And so we got a lot of fun stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say that in downtown they have a farmers market. Where they have a lot of the live music, and now since March, since that dreadful thing happened in March, we haven't really been able to do much of that. And I don't know for sure there's one in McKinney. They have a farmer's market out there. And I'm sure there's one in Plano. I'm sure there's one in Frisco. I'm sure there's a lot of that. There's one in Prosper. There's every little, like North Dallas City probably has their own little farmer's market. It's just, I think I was telling you that Dallas, it's big, but then you go north of Dallas and it's like all these, they're not even little cities. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, like in McKinney, hundreds of thousands in Frisco. So they're
Denton.
still, yeah, Denton. They're large areas, and they all have their own little cute downtown area, or they're trying to revitalize that because that's starting to become a thing, I guess, in Texas. They all have, like the farmers market stuff. They're trying to attract, people to those areas. So they are going to try to make it really nice. But we have those both in Austin and Dallas.
Yeah, but let's just be honest. Austin's way cooler. We might not have all the flair, the big hats, the belt buckles, like you do in Dallas.
That's Fort Worth. That's Fort
Worth. Okay, well, see, it's close enough. It's closer to you than it is to me.
Yeah.
Although we pretty much anything North Austin is just Dallas anyway, so it's close enough.
Okay. Well, I'm sure if you go further outside, like on the outskirts, maybe on the edge of town where there is more smaller areas, I'm sure you see more country, more country people on horses, like to live on a farm, that kind of stuff. Do you have areas of country in Austin?
We do. We do. So, I mean, we have a lot of the hill country. So if you go, 20 minutes outside of Austin, it's all farm and ranch, big lots. And so I think that's like, I grew up in the Central California, Central California. I grew up in Central California, and it was all farmland and cows and really nothing exciting. But on the outside of Austin, and I know Dallas as well, it's kind of the same thing, but it's greener. I think the Central Valley is not green. Everywhere around Austin is very green. There's very good hunting. So if you're a deer hunter or duck hunter or whatever you want to go hunt,
have like a lease, like some leases that you can go.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of places that you can get a lease. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one good thing. If you want to come hunt, Texas is the place to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the same for Dallas. I mean, we're probably not as green, just because, and we're not as hilly, like you said. We're a little bit more flat, but there are still some nice features. We have 5 lakes that are in and around the city of Dallas. So there's a lot of, you can go out to the lake, you could, get a boat, and hang out over there. You could also, what am I thinking of? There are many places where you can go to the deer lease and hang out and pretend that you're shooting deer. Nice. I know a lot of my friends from high school, they would always just go to the deer lease and drink a lot of beer and talk, and that's it. And they'd come back with, empty handed, so to speak. It's like the new fishing, I guess. You can actually go hunting here, but it's more cooler. It looks like Sasank had another question. He said, we do want to move to Austin, but it's almost as expensive as Northern Virginia. Wow. From where we want to move, but weather too. So I guess we could talk a little bit about the weather, kind of compare the two in that situation. So kind of describe the weather in Austin. You get any snow?
Oh, it's wonderful in Austin. It's nothing but 70 degrees year round, shorts, flip-flops.
Yeah.
You don't ever have to worry about massive rainstorms. I'm totally kidding about all of that. So I actually did a really good video. Well, maybe not a good video, but I did a video on this topic. So really Austin is, if you compare it to San Diego, it's almost San Diego weather year round. Okay. So like right now it's like 40 degrees outside, 42 degrees today. But last week it was in the 70s. Next week it'll probably be back in the 70s. This is December. Yeah. So we get massive cold fronts that come through. You get the same ones that hit
Yeah.
you.
Hmm.
But then it's fairly moderate the entire year until you get to about, late April. And then all of a sudden it's 103. And you're like, whoa, where did this come from? And
Or it
that lasts
feels
for,
like, how the weather people
yeah,
say it
it feels,
feels like 100 degrees outside, but it's really only 90.
yeah, it feels like death outside. Yeah. um, Yeah, so really there's like 3.5, 4 months where it's really just uncomfortable. But you buy a house in a community with a pool. Hopefully there's no one of that Kafifa, virus running around. And so you can go jump in a community pool. I bought in a community that has 4 community pools and I
Okay.
bought in this community because of the 4 community
Yeah.
pools. Guess who's building a pool right now because they can't use their community pool?
You are.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Thank you,
No,
HOA.
yeah, I know. We in the community that I live in, we have 2 community pools, and I mean, we have like places like Hawaiian Falls and a couple other little water parks. There used to be it used to be called Wet and Wild, but now it's called Hurricane Harbor, and it's in Arlington. So we've got a couple of little water parks there. There are a lot of cool like indoor pools too that you can take advantage of. Like a lot of the cities will have like an aquatic center that'll have like a slide, and you can go with your family and enjoy actually the pool in the colder weather too, which is nice. But as far as the weather's concerned here in Dallas, I would say we probably see more severe weather than Austin, but I mean, that's all pretty relative. We do see quite a few tornadoes here in Dallas in the springtime mainly. But I mean, there have been crazy storms that'll pop up around Christmas. So, I mean, we've had crazy. We had like I think one summer or one December 25th, it was like 80 degrees, and then like the next day, I'm just like, there's going to be some bad weather coming because it's so warm, and then you get a cold front, and then that just really creates some of that catastrophic weather. But I would say for the most part, they're very isolated. So even if you hear the sirens go off, you're in your safe place, like the chances, like the statistic, analysis of that is more than likely it's going to either not affect you, or it may affect your neighbor's house and skip you. I mean, these storms are just so isolated and unpredictable that you just don't know, what could happen. But I will say the last round of storms that went through Dallas that were really severe, those storms, there were no fatalities, which was, in my opinion, very awesome because you could see like on the map, because afterwards they tell you if it's like an EF1, EF2 on the Fujita scale and that kind of thing. So they will let you know like this is where it was, and then over here this is where it was. But they're very like little pockets and isolated areas. And I've lived, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area most all my life, aside from college when I went to Texas A&M. And lived in College Station for 4 years. I mean, I've lived in the area, and I have yet. I'm thankful. I've never actually really had sirens go off, and I hear the wind whirling outside, but nothing was damaged, nothing like that. I would say the bigger threat is
But that's the positive about living in Austin is that you don't have to, we get the occasional like, woo, check it out. There might be there could be possibly watch out for a tornado, but then it's like, oh no, it was Dallas that got the tornado. So, I don't want to lead anybody in the wrong direction. We do get the occasional warning, but we're not Dallas, which is always a thumbs up.
I think it's because we're so close to Oklahoma and we are in that tornado alley, and that's probably one of the bigger questions that I get a lot of people asking about when they move to Dallas, because they're like, I'm afraid of this whole tornado thing. And I'm like, look, if there are weather alerts that you can get on your phone if you're driving. I mean, literally, I was driving down the road one time and it said tornado warning in your area.
Do you have to get tornado insurance?
So our homeowners insurance will cover everything. If your car is damaged or your home is damaged, it will cover for a new house.
Has anybody ever had any cows like land into their yard from a passing tornado? Is that a thing? Does that happen?
nothing really
Has anybody
bizarre.
had one of those Dorothy from Twister land in their yard? Because that'd be pretty
So
cool.
I think the weirdest story that I've heard is there was a tornado that picked up some of these, like, the ones that they put on the trains. They're like these big. You can make a
Like the
container.
train cars?
Yeah, the train
Yeah.
cars. They picked
Yeah.
some of those up and they moved them like across the street, kind of thing.
In
Or like,
Dallas.
yeah.
Oh, I'm never moving there. Forget that. So here,
That was one area, one isolated event. Dallas is large, people.
so if you wouldn't mind adding my screen back there, I want to show off. So you were talking about water parks in stuff in Dallas. So we just opened the Kalahari, which is in Round Rock. So they have one of these in, I guess it's a thing that came from Chicago, but it's a huge indoor water park that just came into the Austin area. It's really cool. You can basically, they did it as a staycation. So you basically have a vacation, even in the winter, you can come just hang out in a water park. It's nice and abominable, 90 degrees inside. So I don't know if it's at 90 degrees. I'm making things up now, but
do you have it's called Great Wolf Lodge. Do you have any of those in Austin?
I don't, I'm pretty sure we don't, but we have a bunch of different water parks. Cause it does get super, super hot here, 105, not as hot as Dallas though. That's for sure.
Hot as Dallas. I mean, I don't think that I think that our temperatures are pretty relative to Austin. I don't think that we're too far off the grid when it comes to temperature wise. There will be times where it yo-yos kind of back and forth, like what you were saying. You'd have a week of 70s and like this week's a little bit colder than last week, and we may, warm up a little bit towards the end of the week. But I wanted to I can share this water park with you. There's one that opened in Grand Prairie too. So this one's in Grapevine, which is in between, which is, it's in Dallas. It's a part of Dallas. I'll consider it a part of Dallas. Let me share that really quick.
You have to have a belt buckle on to go there.
No, you don't.
No? Oh, okay.
All right, let me see if I can find it. I got so many tabs open. Where's Great Wolf Lodge? There it is. There. All right, so this one, this is all indoors, so it's seasonal. Of course.
That's cool. So it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. And we've got another one too that's I don't think is as big as this one. This one you have to stay at the hotel in order to enjoy the theme park or the water park that's inside. But they have like really cool rooms that you can rent. Like a lot of the bunk beds will be themed. And this is actually really close to another place called the Gaylord Texan. Is a resort and convention center, and they have this really cool thing during that was the wrong one.
Well, what are you Googling there? How do I move to Austin?
Let's just say I'm not as good at sharing the screen as you are. Okay, so this is inside the Gaylord Texan for Christmas every year. They have it decorated really, really nice. There's a huge Christmas tree. And if you see all these windows back here, this is all inside. So if you look up here, this is all just window inside. You can see the lights are this, beautiful glass.
You took it off.
Oh, I took it off.
Looking at my face.
Like I said, I'm not as good as sharing my screen as Jeremy is. I apologize.
Hey, but I don't have the cool background like you do. So you're beating me there.
Okay. So can you see it now?
Yeah. Wow, it's a cool Christmas tree. Is it Christmas time already?
Yeah.
It's not cold enough for Christmas though.
Yeah, I mean it's December already.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm. It's December 4th. Congratulations, you're in December. Yeah. So this is actually inside. So if you notice, these are all windows. It's kind of like a big dome here. This part right here where you see the other windows, those are hotel rooms. You can actually stay here and have it overlook this little area here. There's lots of dining and restaurants, activities for the kids. let's see if I can view some more photos of this. If this website will, well, that's pretty cool.
So I got a question for you. So
yeah,
I know we're talking about this. This is great, but what are some of the companies, if we're comparing Austin and Dallas, what are some of the companies that are coming to Dallas is maybe why somebody would want to move to Dallas versus Austin?
Mm-hmm. So I'll let you go first because I have to remember mine.
So
I know that there are companies, like I know that the, what is it? The golf, the PGA Tour. I think they're moving their headquarters, I believe, to Frisco. Yes, that was what it was. PGA Tour moving their headquarters to Frisco from Florida, and the McKinney golf course, one of the golf courses in McKinney, is actually going to be hosting the PGA Tour for the next like 2 or 3 years. Like they secured that, and I was like, well, that's amazing. So we'll have like part of the PGA Tour here in McKinney, which is totally awesome. We have FedEx has their headquarters here. Pepsi is a big one. Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Pepsi Cola, like all those.
we got all the cool stuff though. We have Oracle. I'm not supposed to say this, but Oracle's headquarters is moving here. Oops, cat's out of the bag. Oracle's going to be like, whoa, who knew that? Me, I knew that. So we got Oracle moving their headquarters here. We have, massive tech companies that are still in play. Obviously, like I said earlier, Tesla, so you can get a really cool. So my plan is to get the Cybertruck, and then I'm going to wrap it in a Texas flag.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to drive that around and just maybe put my name on the side. Call me if you want to be as cool as Texas. So, I think that's the thing that like a lot of like major corporations are coming here. I just read before we got on here, Elon Musk is finally actually moving here. I have a beach condo in South Padre, humble brag. And apparently he comes to Padre because he has that SpaceX thing in Brownsville. So that's cool. Our friend Christina says, how far is Dallas from Austin? Look, nobody's driving from Austin to Dallas. We are on a plane. It's so far. I mean, it's like, might as well just go to Oklahoma, Christina. No, it's probably what, 3.5 hours?
Go to casino. Go to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and the Tiger King, his buddy moved his Tiger King thing over there right across the border in Oklahoma from Texas. So there you go. You can go do that too. But
I thought you were going to say he's moving to Austin.
Yeah, no. Okay, he's more of a Dallas type of guy, not really an Austin kind of guy.
Wow.
Yeah, but the I-35, let's talk about trying to get between Dallas and Austin. If you want to drive between the two, I won't drive to Dallas. I'll drive to Houston. Just said it. I'd rather drive to Houston than I drive to Dallas because the I-35 is a nightmare. And Christina says Tesla wasn't cool enough for Louisiana.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it was the opposite way.
The opposite way. I think it was like you said, because he's got that location in Brownsville. He goes to South Padre. Austin's probably the next, is better than Houston. So he decided, let's just do Austin.
Well, so there's talk. So he brought the Gigafactory here. There's talk that he's bringing something else, like they're moving more stuff to Austin. So,
and I hear that, didn't you say in one of your other videos, isn't Google expanding to their headquarters too?
Yeah. So one of their offices is already downtown. They're having a second location. The Apple campus is still being built out. So, that's Eddie says whatever. Hey, I've been to Baton Rouge one whole time, and it was a lot of fun. And that's primarily because Christina and Eddie took me out to breakfast, which was delicious. Yes, and they are right. The Louisiana food probably is better than Texas. But our barbecue, you can't touch our barbecue. Sorry, Eddie. I'm sure Eddie can cook a mean steak, though.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
Sensing, that's a great question. Go ahead.
So traffic and tolls. So here in Dallas, it's probably set up similarly to Austin in that you put in $40 and then it's like the zip you drive through and then it takes a picture of your license plate and then you get if you can either opt to get a bill in the mail and then pay it that way, or you can have it take out another $40 once you get really close to $40. It'll like auto draft.
Yeah.
But I would say you can avoid the tolls here in Dallas. They're not a must drive, but as far as North Dallas, how it's kind of situated, you have Highway 121, which is Sam Rayburn Tollway, and if you can avoid it, then don't get on it. They are doing a lot of construction on that road right now, so even during the day, sometimes it's a little bit annoying. But they are expanding it, which means that they know there's a problem. So there's that, and then the Dallas North Tollway is really close to where a lot of the headquarters area is. So if you don't have to take the toll, you can definitely take kind of a back road type situation and tag on maybe 10 extra minutes, maybe 5-10 extra minutes, and take a non-toll route and save yourself a lot of cash if you just leave a little bit earlier. But if you're running late, then I usually just hop on the toll. But
yeah. Texas, since we don't have income tax, is very creative about how they do things. And so, that being said, the property taxes are higher, obviously. And then on top of that, there's a lot of tolls. Now in Austin, instead of expanding the freeway and adding another lane, they added a toll, which we desperately needed. And if you want to go in the morning from like South Austin to North Austin, you want to use a toll road. Number one, it's usually actually kind of slow because people get on there and instead of like speeding, like doing 80, 85 like a normal person, they do like the speed limit. And so everybody else has to do like 15 miles an hour. Yeah. So that's a couple bucks if you want to do it. If you're going during, so it's like probably like 260 to 270 one way.
That's pretty similar. If you're trying to get from like one side of the tollway to the other side, you're going to hit through quite a few to get you to that about that amount. I mean, I'm unfortunately not. My husband is he's the accountant side, so I don't really mess with a lot of that. I'm like, oh look, they just deducted another $40.
So, Eddie says Texas gives tickets for toll without telling people. I know someone who gets a ticket every time they go to Texas.
Wow. I don't know about a ticket, but they'll say you need to pay it. If you don't have the tags, they'll still take a picture of your driver's license. They will find you and they will get their money. I mean,
they'll get their money. Yeah.
It's about the tolls. If you're not from here and you just happen to get on one, they'll find you and bill you for that. No problem.
Yeah. Right now during the CAFIFA lockdowns and things being the way they are, the traffic's not as bad in Austin. Once that turns around, it probably will be a little worse. But if you're using those toll roads, I mean, you're probably $5 to $6 a day if you're taking it each way. Now there's some other small toll roads I take toll roads all the time because I'm driving all over Austin every day.
Here,
they're regular. Cheaper. I mean, they're $1. Like you go one way, it's $1, and you come back, it's $2. But if you're taking it the entire way, it's like $6 each way, $7 each way. So
it can get expensive. Yeah, we do have long, like the Dallas North Tollway goes all the way right now from Prosper all the way down into the heart of downtown. So it is a pretty long drive there if you're taking that all the way into downtown. And then 121 is all the way from McKinney and 75. So it's at 170 or 75. And you can take that all the way to, I think you can take it all the way to like mid cities in between Dallas and Fort Worth. So
I have no idea where that is. Such a foreign, you're speaking German.
It's close to where the airport is.
Speaking of German, there's a big German population in Texas. See, I'm like this. I'm ADD. So Christina says she's got $4 tickets lying on her table from driving the great state of Texas to, I think she went to Spur, Texas, was it?
Spur, yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And you know, if we back up a little bit, Eddie agreed that the barbecue in Texas is way better than Louisiana. But we're not getting any etouffee here. All right. If we
Okay.
do, it's not the same.
Yeah, yeah. So I know before we hit the live, we were talking a little bit about like unique places to eat and unique restaurants. What would you say is probably one of the most like unique places to eat? We're not talking about like money's not a thing. You want to go out for an anniversary dinner. You want to go out to, it doesn't have to be like the Ritz or anything, Carlton, but it needs to be like something unique. What would you say?
Well, you know, the touristy spots here, everybody goes to the Oasis because it's a
Yeah.
really cool view.
Yeah.
Steiner Steakhouse is very good. It's somewhere I probably want to go to soon. I haven't been in a very long time. Steiner Steakhouse is very good, well known. Capitol Grill downtown is very good. It's probably one of my favorite places. I always try to get my title reps to take me to lunch
Yeah.
there. They're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you want to go to lunch?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." There's a new. I think you know what is more of an Austin flair would be Jack Allen's barbecue. It's or not Jack Allen's barbecue. Jack Allen's. It's like kind of a Tex-Mex almost, but it's really not. It's definitely better. Tex-Mex is terrible for the most part. But Jack Allen's, they have now an offshoot called Salt Trader. So the owners of that start Salt Trader, and it's all like seafood, and that place is delicious. So
Ooh,
there are a lot of really good places to eat in Austin, but you'll find the places that are popular and touristy. It's all about the ambiance, not necessarily about the food.
okay. Yeah. And we have something similar. So I want to kind of share this with you because I found this and I thought this was really cool. Now I was, let me go up to the top here. So these are supposedly the 16 totally unique restaurants and bars in Dallas, Fort Worth. Some of these are in Fort Worth, but hey, you know. So we got the Treehouse Bar at the Truck Yard. That looks pretty fun. I mean, you get to sit up there and drink beer. I don't know what's around there. I've never been there, but I mean, it's a unique thing. So now this one was really cool. Dakota's. It's a subterranean steakhouse. So it's actually underground because First Dallas Baptist apparently stole the land, you know, legally, of course. And
that sounds like a Texas thing.
Yeah, and they prohibited any future owner from selling alcohol. Well, they just said, well, legally it said, you know, it didn't say below the site. So they actually constructed a restaurant underneath, like below ground. So that way they could still serve alcohol there. And they, you know, they have martinis, prime rib and everything too. I haven't been there personally, but it looks like a really cool place to go. And that's actually like First Baptist Church, like that's closer to Dallas North Tollway and 75 area. So closer to downtown.
Is a gas station in there too?
Yeah, apparently there's this gas station. I don't know. This says Watauga. So Watauga is actually closer to Fort Worth. So we'll give the crazy stuff to Fort Worth.
Okay.
So this is.
So you're telling people if they're going to move to the Dallas area and they're a little off, that they should go towards Fort Worth. I just want to make sure we got that on record.
Fort Worth is very different. We'll just put it that way. But
well, I mean, how is Fort Worth different? I want to know this. This is what the people want to know.
So
it's great. The gas station's cool, but we want to hear about the crazy people.
They're not crazy. They're just a little bit more Southern. The accent, I think, comes out more if you live in Fort Worth versus Dallas. And if you live in East Texas, too, I find that the accent just gets thicker. I have cousins and family that live in East Texas, so I can say that. But Fort Worth, they have the stockyards over there, and a lot of people love to go for drinks and some two-stepping. I mean, that's a big thing. That's a part of the nightlife scene.
Are there big lifted trucks there? Is that like a thing?
Big lifted trucks? What do you mean?
Yeah, so I grew up in Central California. Everybody had like 9-inch lifts on their trucks. That was like the cowboy thing to do.
Yes, I mean they're like, you know, ridiculous, you know, monster truck size apparently. they're
My
they're
type of
loud.
crazies. I like these people.
They're so loud, right? I mean, the muffler, you can hear it, brrr, you know, their truck. The trucks are a big deal. I mean, you need to own a truck if you move to Texas, apparently. I never owned a truck, but it's okay.
I will say this. I've been staring at your screen right there. And it says that salmon is better than sex. So I just wanted to bring that up. That you've had that on the screen for like 20 minutes now. No, so when I moved to Texas, you know, I moved from California, and this is why I love Austin. And you know, I'm sure Dallas is, well,
got its quirks too.
yeah, Dallas has quirks. But when I lived in San Diego, I started to sell real estate in San Diego. So I went out and bought a Mercedes. I thought I had to have like a really nice car. And then I moved it to Austin, and I was like, I don't need a nice car. And so I went and I traded in for a truck.
Yeah.
And I went straight to Toyota Tundra. I've been driving that beast for a long time, and I love it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And, you know, driving around town selling real estate in a Toyota Tundra, you know, I just sold a $2.4 million home a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Showed people around in a Toyota Tundra.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like about just the cultural aspect of Austin. And I know Dallas is very similar. They do have the era of being a little more pretentious than Austin, but we have our pretentiousness too. So I won't hide it. But I think that's the thing, is like everybody's a little more down to earth here. And so everything's a little more, you know, relaxed. And you know, here's the one thing I just noticed. It doesn't matter how much money you make to most people. They just want to hang out. Like they just want to be friends with you. They don't care if you make money, because the reality is a lot of these people who don't look like they make money are pretty wealthy, and they don't act like they are. And that's what I love about just the cultural vibe, especially in Austin.
That genuine, like, you know, you get real genuine people here.
Yeah.
So it looks like Jan has a quick question.
This is a great question.
How about the respective airports, international flight connectivity, Dallas versus Austin? Nice. You want to go first?
No, I want to hear how bad Dallas is.
We have DFW.
It's
an international. It's an international airport. I mean, I've had good experiences at DFW. It is very large, I will say that. So you can get a little bit lost if you don't know where you're going or have no idea. But they are pretty good about like the signs directing you what gate you need to go to. You need to take this exit kind of thing on your way to the airport, because it does take you a little bit of time to get to the airport and then get out. So make sure that you anticipate your time for that. And then we also have the Dallas Love Field Airport. It's not international, but it is another option if you want a cheaper flight around the United States. And I believe they might even have airfare to South Padre that is, even though it's
Brownsville. You can't fly to straight to South Padre. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong though, but the airport, DFW, is like right in between the two cities, right? Isn't it between? Okay.
It's between Dallas and Fort Worth.
Right. So locationally, it's pretty central.
Central to?
Well, close to the city. It's not like outside the city.
Right. Yes.
Like if you fly to Denver, you have to fly way outside of Denver, then drive like an hour in almost.
No, you can get to the airport in 30 minutes. Even from McKinney, you could take 121 all the way to the airport and get to it in 30 minutes, just over 30 minutes.
So we have, you know, obviously we have ABIA. It's about 15-minute drive from downtown. We just passed Prop A, which is a $7 billion bill to build a train that goes between Dallas, or not Dallas, but from the airport to downtown, pretty much Dallas.
Pretty much to Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, but
how much they're charging people, it's pretty much, that better be to Dallas.
Yeah, for how much it's going to be, yeah. I've had this debate with people like really excited about it. I'm like, well, you're paying all this money in taxes and you still have to pay to write it, right? Oh, yeah. But I mean, getting in and out of ABIA is actually pretty easy for the most part. Getting a taxi or getting a cab or Lyft or whatever you're going to use is pretty easy. It would be nice to have a rail. I mean, I don't think that's a bad idea. The cost of it, I guess, is what I look at. But in and out of ABIA is great. The problem with ABIA is it's not as big as Dallas. So I mean, you're gonna, depending on where you're gonna go, you're gonna be 2 stops, right? You're probably gonna fly into DFW or fly into Houston and then out.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no with Dallas, I think that you have more options when it comes to flights just because of it's a little bit bigger. So
Ooh, here we go. So you got a couple of my awesome people on here. So Benzank says drive a Jeep. They're cool. I agree. I mean, like you want to roll around Austin or Dallas. I mean, you roll around a Jeep and you're in good shape. And then Afro capitalists, love Afro capitalists. Some of the greatest like comments on my channel. Thank you. My heart wants Dallas, but my family wants Austin. So help Afro capitalists. What help their heart and their mind figure out where to go.
So if you're concerned, like I'm not sure what he means as far as family. I mean, when I think family, because I have a family of 4 or 5, sorry. I just lost a kid, right?
Don't do that.
So I have 5 kids, and most of the schools in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we have a lot of the top school districts in the area, compared to, I would say, Austin. I know Austin has like the number 1 spot, but then like the number 2, the number 3, the number 4, those are all Dallas and North Dallas. And
if this helps you out too, Forbes put out top 5 recession resistant cities to move to. Number 1 on the list was Austin. I forget what number 2 was.
Okay.
Number 3 was like Denton. Number 4 was like McKinney. Number 4 was Dallas. I mean, yeah. So the top 5 was our cities. But I think this is the question, and they've asked this on my channel before about rental investments in Dallas versus Austin.
Okay. So rental wise, I mean, we have, I think, more affordability when it comes to that. So you can get into a more affordable home. You waving to somebody?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading down your comments. Monkey Dude said hello. I was just waving. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. Continue. Monkey Dude leaves a lot of great comments on my channel. So,
good. Hello.
So with in regards to investment, there's a lot more opportunity because we do have the lower price point, and we can get you a good home in a good neighborhood for that $200,000, $250,000, 200 like budget if you've got that. So I think there is a lot more opportunity there, and even parts that are just like just north in this little town called Melissa. It's a lot more affordable than McKinney. The schools are good. You have a smaller school district. It's a very cute little town. And then just above Melissa, we have another cute little city named Anna. Anna's kind of the same situation. It's growing. I think they have plans to make a master plan community up there. And great things about the school district is what I've heard. Melissa the same way. You can look those up on niche.com. But those are in the North Dallas section. Those are great areas that are growing that you can get a lot for your money when it comes to investment and in return if you're doing rentals too. So
yeah, I've talked to, obviously in the real estate game, you have to have a lot of friends, right? You have to have a lot of realtors that are friends. And so I've talked to a lot of agents in the Dallas area, and this is always a question because I get asked this question a lot, which is better for investment. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. For the price point, you can get a better rental investment for the price point. If you're trying to stay under 350, definitely can find something. Will the rental rates be there always? Maybe not, but you're going to be under 350. The problem with Austin,
it help you cash flow. So if you're not needing to put as much cash into it, or maybe you're paying for it all cash, or maybe you're just wanting to put 25%, you're not having to put as much into it. So let's say that you had enough for a $300,000 investment home, but you're only spending $200,000 because you're putting down a little bit more so than you could previously. Then your cash flow is going to be a little bit better in that regards too. But I mean, and the rental market is hopping. I mean, in McKinney, we have rentals anywhere from 15 to 15, the ones that are 1,500, like they're gone yesterday. If you even the ones that were in the $200, sorry, 200, oh my goodness, I can't talk. The $2,000 a month rentals that we had even in parts of North McKinney, they're already gone. I think a friend of mine had 4. She listed 4 of them. They were all gone. $2,000 per rental, a great investment in that area too. So, but sorry, I interrupted you. You were talking about Austin and about investment. I want you to continue along on that path real quick.
Yeah, no, I was actually starting to pull up some stats on one of the questions that's down below. But finding something under 350 in Austin becomes a challenge, especially if you're trying to have the rental value there, because our appreciation for value of properties, and it's what Sazing's question is that the appreciation is so fast and rapid right now in Austin. And it's a lot of the things we talked about. It's a smaller city than Dallas, so we have less available inventory. We have major companies moving here. So the appreciation and our values is skyrocketing. I mean, I'm curious to see what the November numbers are, but October was 13%. It was like 13.4% or something like that, just not enough to be considered 14%. So they were high. And, if you're looking at that in Dallas, I just pulled up a stat. I'm doing a video and I actually put a stat up. Both Dallas and Austin are seeing pretty heavy month over month appreciation numbers. So I think from what I've seen historically, Austin is a little bit higher. Obviously, the property values are already a little bit higher. But I mean, right now in this market, I just had a conversation honestly today with a client or potential client, and they were wanting to be under 225. And I was like, I just don't know where to help you find something like that right now. I mean, it's going to be far outside of Austin. It's not going to be anywhere close. And that's a challenge we run into.
You're not going to have a lot of choices from that. Even it's tough to find something under 250. You can go to some of the outlying cities like Forney to find a little bit more affordability.
What about Crowley? I heard somebody literally called me today asking about Crowley, and I was like, I have no idea where that's at.
It's closer to Fort Worth. It's like the south side of Fort Worth. So the Crowley, Forney, and even parts of like the Anna Melissa too area, you can find a home. Even some new construction up in Anna and Melissa, you can get under 200,000 just because they're just growing and developing up there, and you can get a lot more for your money because you're a little bit further outside of town. But yeah, appreciation here as well. I mean, usually year over year. And I was talking to someone else about this today, actually, about how both, Dallas and Austin have really good, strong economies. And we're, the chances of Dallas and Austin, if they were ever to go down or underwater, like that would be the day that everywhere else would be down and underwater, just because we have such a strong economy. Our economy is not dependent on tourism. Our economy is not dependent. I mean, we have a strong, I think, job market in both places. So I think that's kind of the benefit of living in those two areas when it comes to stability for the housing market. So that's what makes them great places to invest. So,
oh no, it blocked me out. So I saw on here, and I don't know if you know the number for your percent increase for October. It's not, the Dallas Morning News wants me to pay a subscription fee.
Oh, they always do it to me too.
Yeah. But before it kicked me out, I believe it said it was a 4.9% appreciation for the Dallas Metro. Was that right for October?
That's probably pretty close you said for this month?
That was for October's numbers.
Yeah, yeah, it says, and I've been looking here, in the last 10 years, Dallas has experienced some of the highest home appreciation rates of any community in the nation. Dallas real estate appreciation, 75% over the last 10 years, which is an average of 5.76%, putting Dallas in the top 10 nationally for real estate appreciation. So
yeah, who else was in the top 10?
It was through neighborhoods, scout.com, and the website really wasn't that fantastic. So I was kind of muddling and I didn't see a whole lot there.
So I'm doing a video about just Texas in general, and
Yeah.
I found this article. It was top during the pandemic, the Kafifa. I say it different every time, and somebody gave me a hard time on Tuesday because I don't even know what to call it. I don't want to get demonetized.
The March thing that happened, that's usually what I go
The
to.
March thing,
The
yeah.
March.
Oh, but what was I talking about? So I just lost my total train of
We're
thought.
looking at for a video.
Oh, for a video, yeah. Oh, but the top 12 cities people were moving to in Texas. Number 1,
Austin.
Austin, Texas. Number 2 was actually like Midland. I was actually really impressed with that. Number 2 was Midland.
Yeah. That's kind of mid Texas.
Yeah.
Not sure where that is.
The prices in Midland are ridiculously low. It's like under 200,000. So if you look at the national average, national average, Midland's always below the national average.
Yeah. No, Midland's one of those. I have a friend that actually lives in Midland, so that doesn't surprise me. That's a pretty grown area. It's starting to grow.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, we're about 11 minutes after the hour. My birthday is tomorrow, so.
Oh, happy birthday. How's 29 feel?
29 feels awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm not 29. I'm closer to well, is it double that? I don't know.
Yeah, I just turned 39 in last week. So
we're not too far. I think, let's see. I was born in 82.
Oh yeah, you're right behind me.
So I'm right behind you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not that much younger than you.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us here today on this live stream. We hope that you had a good time. We had a good time.
Yeah.
And if you have any other questions for Jeremy, I have his contact information in the description, so you can reach out to him directly. And if you have comments after the live stream, feel free to put them there, and I'll keep an eye on them and let Jeremy know if it's an Austin question, then he can kind of jump on and answer for you. But we'll be watching those comments if you got any of those later on. And thanks for watching, and we are going to see you guys on the next video.
Bye.
See you later.
Thanks.